What's up, dude? How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Welcome back from
Thank
the
you, sir.
mountains,
Yes.
so to speak.
It was a wonderful little bit of Wu-Tang in the house, little Outcast, Big Boy. It was a good time.
Oh, they were with him?
Well, Big Boy was, for whatever reason, Andre wasn't with them, but they did most of their songs. It was pretty good. The audio, the sound itself wasn't great until Wu-Tang came on. As soon as RZA and Wu-Tang came out, the sound quality improved greatly. So I don't know if they had a different sound guy or
Maybe.
like working the board or what.
I don't think Andre tours much anymore. I think he's
I don't know. I guess
a lot of acting, producing, I think's
yeah,
what
it's
he's
just
been
not
up
his
to.
bag, I guess. But my buddy Tommy and I, we had a wonderful time. His friends joined us. We had a designated driver. Not that I wanted to drink much. You get a little dehydrated out there anyway. But it was a really good time. Glad to go out there. It was great for my soul. It was great for my mental health. It was a good refresher. Sort of wanted to come home on Sunday. I sort of wanted to come home a day early, miss the family. Had an idea that coming home this time was going to be a little different than coming home all the other times. And what I mean by that is, like, in the past, I would come home with expectations and of like maybe being met with a hug you don't get that. And if you don't get that, then you get upset. And then if you get upset, then it just ruins your whole day. Well, then you're just ready to go on the next trip by the time you know it.
Yeah.
And that's just coming from somebody that used to travel a lot. So anyhow, I get home this time, and I realize as I'm pulling in the garage, I haven't even thought about actually arriving home. I haven't thought about, like, what am I going to do? What's going to happen to me? Is there something that I need to prepare for? Did I leave in a fight? Excuse me, just took a big drink of something, so I'm having a hard time here. So anyway, not having set any of those expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going back to the 4 agreements, not making any assumptions, right? And not taking anything personally if you walk through the door and it's not, streamers and fucking balloons and welcome home. Well, so having never gotten what I wanted before, every time I wanted it, this time, having come home, not even thought about it, I walked through the door to hugs and kisses and hellos and we missed you and this and that. And I'm just like, it's just amazing when you stop forcing shit, how it just presents itself to you.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the key, like we've talked about. Your expectations, you just got to throw them out the window.
Yeah, yeah.
And it'll be either good or bad, because that's how it'll go, But if you don't have that preconceived notion in your head of whatever, then you're let down. It's much easier to flow with it a little bit, and just
It sure is.
let it be.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So the whole trip was sort of like that. It was really relaxing. My buddy kept saying, "Oh, sorry, we don't have a lot planned." I'm like, no, we're good. Like, this is wonderful. It's nice to sit out on your back deck or your lanai and look at the front range, and you can see Pikes Peak down the road there on Highway 25 a little bit, and it's just a beautiful place,
Oh, yeah.
Now, having said that, it did also open my eyes to the sheer amount of people living in Colorado right now and the type of people, the demographic.
A lot of people have moved there.
It's basically a wealthy white person's playground. And I mean that in the most lighthearted but serious way I can mean, like going to Red Rocks to see a concert, to see Wu-Tang. Okay, well, it's the things I heard, the way I heard people complaining about things, the way people were gossiping and carrying on, the way it was a wonderful time for me because I was able to focus on the music and my friends.
Mm-hmm.
But just as a light social experience or experiment for myself, not having been out a lot in the last couple of years because of COVID, I thought, well, I wonder what's going on around me. And you sort of start to eavesdrop a little and you start to listen. You're like, oh, wow, man. Holy shit, man. There's a lot of really angry people around me.
So what were some of the people, so you're in a whole different
Yeah.
part of the country.
Yeah.
You're in the mountain region versus our Midwest, so you're completely out of our little bubble.
Yeah.
What was kind of the hot topic issues that you kind of overheard?
It was I would say that they weren't so much issues. They were just people bitching incessantly. It was like, one lady was bitching about the amount of time that she had to wait in line for her drink. Okay, you're at a concert with like 10,000 people.
That's a
right.
go.
You have to know
merch and refreshments. You always got to know you're going to.
You got to know. Okay, so that was easy. That was just like, okay, basic bitching. There was another gentleman that was complaining. He came and he stood like right in front of me. Now, how Red Rocks is set up is you've got, obviously it's like stadium seating, very high stadium seating, but they have very wide aisles and nice wooden benches built at a good height if you want to sit down. It's not intended for 2 rows of people. It's intended for a row of people. You got enough to walk by.
Yeah.
Gentleman comes up and he stands in where I'm at, but I'm walking up from the restroom, so I see him standing in front of where my space is. I don't say anything. I just get behind him, and, well, I can automatically tell that it's not going to be ideal anymore. It was a great seat. Now it's not.
He's not going to be aware of what's going on behind him. Oh, sorry, didn't realize it.
So then all of a sudden he brings 2 of his friends up, and now there's 3 people in front of the 4 of us that are there, and I was doing my best. I really was, and I just said to my buddy next to me, I said, man, I said, I don't think this is going to work. And all of a sudden, the 3 people started sort of amongst themselves. Well, as soon as I said that, a security guard come over, or an usher, and he said, hey, you guys, this isn't a place for you to stand. The gentleman started bitching and said, well, you guys oversold the show, yada, yada, yada. Never once did he say, well, we got here late, our bad. Never once did he say, well, we didn't want to walk up any higher, my bad. Never, nothing. He just bitched and bitched. And finally, the guy said, hey, listen. He goes, you can stay there, but you're going to have to deal with the people standing behind you. And I'm standing right behind the guy. And I looked at him, and I'm like, I said, it's no go for me, buddy. I said, that's all there is. I said, we don't even need to talk about this shit. And the guy goes, there you go. You need to come. He goes, well, where am I going to find a seat? The guy says, well, come with me. He goes, I can find you a seat. And I had to giggle a little,
I'll find you a seat outside the gates.
Just some really uptight people. Really, it's funny because when I lived in Colorado as a young person and when I visited as a young adult, it felt very liberal, but very liberal in a sense of much like what you think of Texas, like, hey, just stay out of my way, I'll stay out of yours.
Well, I've only been in Texas once, and you kind of can see that, and only been there once again.
Sure.
People kind of stay out of each other's way.
Right.
But there's that mutual respect, it seems. And I think that's also a Southern thing.
It was sort of how. Wrong. No, I don't think. I think you're right on. But I think that Colorado, that's how it used to be. And at least they're along the Front Range. So we're talking Denver, Parker, Aurora, Castle Rock, Colorado Springs, that whole area down 25, that corridor. Man, it is white America. It really is. And it feels very uptight. And it doesn't have the same welcoming feeling like it used to have. And that's not a knock on the place. It's fucking gorgeous. And if you live there, good on you.
Well, it's
most people will tell you now that it's Jeff. You can't buy a place for less than $500,000, and it's on a postage stamp, and that's without AC. That's before you start putting in a mailbox. That's before you.
I'm sure.
You want a fucking lock on the door.
Views like the beach.
Right. But what happens when they fucking put up in this? I saw they put up a row house in front of your house.
Oh yeah. That's everywhere around here, though. Like, your neighborhood's not fully developed. Each week, you got a new one going in, and it's good. Like, mine just filled up. But my neighborhood was built in early 2000s.
Yeah, but Jeff, we didn't pay $500,000 or $1 million for a view.
Yeah, but we don't have that here. We're looking off into flat land and some trees.
No corn today. Yeah. But anyway, so where I'm getting at with this is it had a different feeling, and I don't think that there was anything different with the place or the people. I think it was me being more aware of what any given situation I was in. I was more of an antenna. I was receiving more.
Your senses were probably heightened.
Yep,
one,
probably
not medicated. Kind of a new chapter. One, you're going out back into the world, free all this nonsense. So you're probably a little more heightened, kind of being aware, like, ooh, how's this going to be? Because concerts definitely, I'm sure I've not been to one, and I think the last time I went to one was, shit.
Man, it's
probably
been a minute, huh?
10 years ago. Yeah.
How are you still breathing? How can you not have live music?
Like Cannibal Corpse, and I'm not going to mention other band names because they're just inappropriate names,
right? Yeah,
to the layman. But different type of times you get to that environment again. Even my people be like, I don't know if we're gonna mosh pit. We're not gonna get into that kind of realm. Yeah. I think you were just, as a lot of people were, like, okay, well, this is new scenery, because a lot of those people, that might have been their first concert back, and then some, they might have been going wherever they could to watch music.
Yeah. You could tell there were people that were still trying to maintain distance. Not many people were wearing masks. I just tell you that right up front.
I
almost
don't believe
anywhere.
the state doesn't have anything for it. I don't believe.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was weird because I just come from the St. Louis and southern Illinois area where all of a sudden there were new mask mandates everywhere. You get there.
Well, you had to wear one to fly your butt there.
I did, which I survived. I had a lot of anxiety about that, but I did a really good job. I was pretty proud of myself, made it, and all that stuff. But anyway, like I was saying, man, really a surreal moment for me. It was a sort of a culture shock to be back out in the mix, but you saw a lot of people puking, a lot of people getting escorted out, a lot of people being extremely rude, and
so a lot of people getting very intoxicated.
A lot of people really letting loose, like holy shit! Thank God I can get out again.
Their state flower, basically now.
Right.
I'm guessing is it legal to smoke? And
well,
I don't know their laws in public.
It's not.
I would assume probably not.
It's not. But that's not to say it doesn't happen.
It never stopped people over here.
They did have people that were walking, sort of randomly throughout. And you could see like one guy when we first got there had like a soft plastic flask that he'd confiscated from somebody with some booze in it. Not before, like there might have been 2 inches of booze left in the bottom. So somebody obviously was ripped. And if they saw somebody lighten up or something, they would come and tell you and make you put it out or whatever. And, I wasn't paying too much attention to that, but I saw it happen on multiple occasions.
Any concert nowadays, it's an outdoor venue. It's still going to go on. Yeah.
Right. But, I placed myself right at the edge. We were about right halfway up the hill, and, I placed myself right on the edge because I knew like I didn't want to be in that moment of like, I think I need to get out of here and sort of stretch my legs a bit, feeling a little anxious. Never had any of that, man. I never, like when I was medicated, I would have been out of my fucking mind, Jeff. I wouldn't have been able to fly there, first of all. I would have had to drive.
Would have been through the roof.
It would have been uncontrollable. I would have had to probably leave the concert early. It would have been a mess. On medication to help fix a problem. Fuck. That's so insane to think of, hindsight. And I know, hindsight is 20/20, but really to be like, okay, everybody told you got to be on these things. You got to be on these things.
But,
and then as soon as you get off, your life improves.
You're not alone in that.
Tenfold.
Look how many millions, especially after this past couple years, are on anxiety medication, younger and older, that I know some individuals, like if they go to the store and there's more people than normal, they got to take one. Oh, there's too many people.
Yeah.
I don't like crowds. My thought, and we talked about this, is I don't like crowds for the fact there's so many people. If something would happen, and this would be, God, it's so rare of a situation, you can't control a crowd. That's like wild horses going nuts. They're going to go everywhere.
But it's so weird how you can be, and I put this on myself first, so now I'm going to put it on you. You don't like large crowds, yet you're plenty capable of driving in a vehicle at 70 miles an hour in a large crowd.
Yeah, that's a funny way of looking at it. Yeah, because right? I can deal with the crowds. It doesn't we could go to stuff. It doesn't bother me. But in the past, sometimes I would be like hyper aware and just like. Just like head going nuts.
Yeah, you'll catch yourself not
relaxing a bit to enjoy it. And that's taking time, no different than you with things. But and I think that stems from a lot of my teachings from martial arts or instructor. Like we talked about facing the door, this, and that.
Yeah,
that's
a lot of that mentality of like, if you're a hammer, everything's going to be a nail. But if you walk into the place and you perceived as a soft, fluffy pillow, well, then nobody's going to fuck with a soft, fluffy pillow. I mean,
so it's one of those things. No, it's just taking time to overcome to be that, but to be in the environment, enjoy it, still be aware.
Yeah.
But enjoy, why did we come here for this purpose? This, and that, those
man.
of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Being able to catch yourself reacting to a situation or in a moment and stopping yourself to correct it, or maybe to take some thought, some time to think about it before you react or respond. That is, it's so much nicer to be in that space.
Mm-hmm.
It is so much nicer, man. Like to be able to see somebody say or do something that you would have responded to in a poor manner before, but this time you just go, okay, I think what you probably meant was this. And they're like, well, yeah, of course that's what I meant.
Yeah.
But you could have easily been like, fuck this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm bouncing, I'm out. Or whatever. Like you check out mentally. Well, how does that person get you back? They don't even know that you've checked out now. You took something personally. You assumed something. And again, I'll go back to the 4 agreements. You can't assume, you can't take things personally if you're doing your best. Yeah. You're not doing your best if you're doing the woe is me thing. You have to look past that, because if somebody else is angry at you, you just have to realize that there may be something that made them angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can't just deny, you can't fight it. You have to roll with it. You have to say, okay, I get it. I don't understand. Can you please explain it to me?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. You just have to roll with it. It's,
yeah.
Like you said, we'll go back to driving. There's hundreds of people around you. You don't know what each of those individuals is doing, going through. Why the one's weaving in and out, emergency, late for work, kid,
dude,
you just got, God forbid, if there's 100 maniacs on the road,
I'm
like Mad Max driving.
I never thought about this before. Yeah, you're right. It's like Thunderdome out there. You don't get to ride passenger a lot, right? Most people listening, probably, unless you're on a trip and maybe your spouse drives for a little bit, but I don't get to ride shotgun much. So my buddy was driving this whole time I was out in Colorado, so I got to ride up front and look out the window, and I would see what other people are doing. Holy shit, it's scary. When you don't have to pay attention to driving and you just look around at other people who are supposed to be paying attention driving.
Do some dumb things, man.
Oh my God, man. I mean, I saw girls that looked like they might have been 15, boys that might have been 16. I mean, obviously they were 16.
Yeah.
Hands on the wheel, holding the phone up center at like 12 o'clock, watching something while they're driving. That ain't how it works.
When I worked in South County every day, because, normal time going to work, like the masses, this lady would be reading a book. Same thing you're saying, hold the book on the wheel.
Yeah,
and you see her. And every day, like, you could tell who was either ahead. Like, oh, there she is. And I would speed past her to get away, because you could just watch her. She would just be like, veer from time to time, because she's reading a book on basically one of our highways here in Illinois, which is like the Autobahn.
Yeah, totally clueless that they make books on tape. I mean, or CD people, or whatever.
Makeup, and then now, newer cars, you got the technology, which I think that's a blessing of plug it in.
Yeah.
Oh, so-and-so texts you. Would you like to reply? Why, yes, I would. To speak, and it'll talk and tell you, for most of these new phones. I think that's good to have.
Sure.
If you got to be playing that game of responses,
Yeah.
But most of the time, like, I only plug that in if I got to charge my phone. Right. Other than that, it's just like, I can wait until I arrive.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's dangerous. But, yeah, I got to see all sorts of crazy shit. And there's responsible people, too, But what I'm saying is when you just sit and you look for it and you look at it and you make yourself aware of the cars that are go around you and what they do, around you, and like how close you really got to that vehicle, and maybe you didn't realize it, but your passenger sure shit did. Like it's I don't know, man. It's a different world.
Yeah,
it's a different world to be out of that.
When you get to be the spectator and not and not the
and a spectator in a world that you're in every single day. We drive every day. Well, I mean, not literally, but mostly. You're in your car almost every damn day, and you just get in. I got to get to the store. I know how to get there, and I'm gonna get back. Barring somebody T-boning me or pulling out in front of me, I really don't think anything more of it. However, when you sit in the passenger seat and you see that, oh, this car damn near pulled out and damn near did T-bone you, but you wouldn't have seen it because you're looking straight ahead.
Yeah.
You didn't see the dog run out across the street in front of you, but I did.
The other day, I hit a deer.
No shit.
Yeah. Just turn it onto a road, and it's cornfields and kind of woods and back area where we have bike paths in O'Fallon. Turning slow, as you got to slow down and turn, boom, this little dude ran out, boonk, hit the front of the truck, turned right around and darted his back in.
Not going that way, huh?
And I pulled over and I go, oh my God. I'm like, it's nowhere to be, but I was going slow. I saw it, and hit the brakes and slow down too. You could hear him just go, and he just did a quick 180 and away he went.
Right. If you wouldn't have been in the moment and really aware of yourself right then, it could have been bad.
Yeah, you could have, because, I can't take corners fast, but if you took a corner fast and you were somebody else, yeah, you'd have been eating him.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know it.
It's just where your eyes are, for those of you who don't have, well, a lot of the states have deer, but we have lots of fields. You can't see what's in those fields, and there's not much room between the road and the field. Them suckers dart out.
Right.
Your race car driver split seconds of timing, how fast these things come out because you don't see them coming.
Right, and most of us aren't trained race car drivers with the reactionary skills, like that.
No, man. and usually it's like, oh, God, there's one. Where's the rest of them? And it's like,
So guess who sat next to me on the flight out?
Oh, that'd be random.
Not a person. Not a person. What kind of person? What kind of person would you not want to sit next to on a flight?
The top person that wants to know everything about you.
Well, there's one of them. I think there's probably a handful. What about a screaming baby?
Oh, that flaws. Yeah.
Check this out, man. So I leave Thursday, and me and my daughter aren't. We just weren't meshing. We weren't vibing. I left sort of with a sour taste in my mouth. But I knew, okay, it's not me. Mm-hmm. It wasn't me. I knew it couldn't have been me. I didn't do anything. In fact, unless maybe I was a little too much. Like, hey, baby, if you're here, if you need me, I'm here. Maybe she got sick of hearing that. I don't know. So I leave and I'm talking to my wife. I'm texting her at the airport. Man, I got tears in my eyes. I'm like, I just hate leaving like that. I don't understand what to do. It's weird. I think I'm doing everything right, but she's not responding and blah, blah, blah. Now, gals, we're talking about a teenage girl here, almost 16 years old. So there's really no right answer about anything, either from her perspective or mine. Yeah. For me, it's just always it's triage. Mm-hmm. It's damage control. So I'm in this state of mind. So I'm like, okay, well, I got to get on this plane and I got to stop thinking about this. So I get back in my book and listening and reading the new McConaughey book. It's pretty damn brilliant. If you haven't listened to it or read it yet, I would recommend listening. It's outstanding. So anyway, I sit down and, man, I'm in the first seat, first row. There's nobody around me. Nobody's sitting next to me. I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's the dude with the shaved head and the tattoos. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? But all of a sudden, the plane's getting close to being full, and a young couple gets on, and they got a baby. And I look at him, and I just think, oh, my God, look at that little baby, And they sit down, and one of my first thoughts was, man, I hope he doesn't start screaming. That'd be a long flight. It's just my first thought.
Yeah.
I went there. But then I started having a realization. I was like, wait a minute. You're having a really tough time with your teenage daughter. There's some resentment there. You're getting angry. You're scared. You're never going to be able to have this relationship you want. All these things are going through my head. Mm-hmm. So I'm making assumptions. I'm doing all that shit. As a dad, good luck turning that off, right? It's hard to do. Especially when you think your daughter, hates you for some reason. Mm-hmm. Which I don't think she does, but it feels like it sometimes. So I start realizing that this isn't a bad thing that there's a baby here.
Yeah.
My compassion starts kicking in, and I start telling myself, I don't give a shit if that kid cries. Look at this fucking thing. This is amazing. And these parents, I've been there. I know where these parents are. I remember flying with my first and my second infant. I remember feeling like, fuck, everybody on this plane fucking hates me right now. Fuck, I got to go change a diaper in an airline. You don't want to take a piss in an airline toilet.
You got
to change your, so compassion starts kicking in. And then I start realizing you need to start remembering your daughter in that light. You need to remember that she's still that person inside. She may be 5 years old inside. Mm-hmm. Emotionally, she might be 9. She might be, we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
What we do know is that she's been privy to some poor examples of parenting, both on my part and my wife's part, admittedly, by both of us. And we're trying to fix all that now. So I have to be patient, and that was such a lesson for me to sit there. And that baby did scream, and that baby did cry for a long fucking time. Yeah. 7/8 of the flight. And I had a resting smile face, as my mom would call it. It made me happy. I just laid. I imagine I had my eyes shut. I imagine it was my kid. I imagine the kid was laying on my chest whenever I was that guy's age, and it sort of brought happy tears. You know, it was
just being a parent. You go to those. You know, you've been at the restaurant where it's like, oh man, you know, last time we were a couple of weeks ago, we're out to eat, and there's a young family, and they're road tripping, a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, sorry, we, you know, this, and that. And, you know, they're like, oh, sorry about that. I'm like, oh, it's fine. You know, obviously we had our daughter and one of her friends with us. And we're like, oh, that's no big deal. You know, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're driving. And, you know, my wife says to the lady, oh, you're the mom, didn't get to eat? She goes, well, I got enough. But you could see because she had young kids, she didn't finish her meal, which seems to be the way. But the young kids got taken care of, but they were rowdy. And she goes, oh, yeah, we've been in the car for like 12 hours or, you know, however long. And it's like, whoa,
rough.
You know, long day for them. And it's like, okay, but it's just like, no big deal. And they weren't, even if they were screaming, the one bumped into me. And I'm like, oh, hey, what's your name? You know, how old are you?
Yeah.
And not old enough at the age to fully, you know, you're the stranger, you're not understanding their language yet. But mom's like, oh, so-and-so this, and oh, okay, yeah.
Well, just think, Jeff. I mean, you could have just as easily been, and maybe more than likely could have been, that guy that was like, fuck, I won't stop fucking hit my chair. You know, just fucking, and blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, they can feel that energy.
Yeah.
They start sensing that you're being uncomfortable. Then all of a sudden, they start feeling like shameful, like, God, my kids and this. Man, fuck that guy. Get him the fuck out of here.
No,
you know?
At times it can be annoying, but for the most part, it's not, because you think back as a parent, at some point, our kids probably did that. And
we did that, Jeff.
Yeah, we did. Exactly. But you got to think back when, like, that was going on with your kid. Like, oh, God, these people probably hate me. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And now it's reversed. And it's just like, yeah. Because I can remember times when our daughter was real young, went out to eat at a nice restaurant, ran out of formula. I had to go, like, scouring the town we were in, and there was nowhere near it. Came back finally, and I felt bad when we were apologizing at the table. And people were like, oh, it happens.
Yeah.
You know, kids. Mm-hmm. It's like, thank God, but you know,
that's how it should be. That's how it should be, man. Everybody has. I mean,
we should try and have more patience with kids. We can't always say that we do.
You know? Yeah. And not that having kids or raising them is stepping in shit, but we all step in shit. We all got things we got to deal with. We all got to change a shitty diaper sometimes. And sometimes we still need our shitty diapers changed.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and sometimes we show it, man. You see some of these videos of these people on planes, like, acting like complete lunatics over the whole mask thing. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm pro or negative mask anything. I'm just saying to act like a fucking child is to act like a child. And it's embarrassing as an adult, and it's an embarrassing as somebody that could be on an airline, on a plane with somebody that could be acting like this. It's embarrassing to even think about it. But you see it every other day now. Some asshat, some man, some woman's being a complete jerk.
Well, you got to think, too, you know, most flights are probably full. So let's say you got a full flight of, 200 people. You're all trying to get to the same place.
Yeah.
You're ruining that, delaying that for 199 more people. More than that, because you got the stewardesses and you got the pilots. Let alone, it's just like, shut up and arrive. Traveling, flying can be stressful, especially if you had kids. Even by yourself, it's stressful. I've done that too.
Yeah.
Especially when you got connecting flights. God, this one's late, this, and this.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It's a stressful environment.
You just got it. Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm on the plane. Okay, we're in the air. Okay, I can breathe a little,
But you either add to that stress or you take away from it.
Yeah, it's true.
Either way, I mean, it's interesting, to get on that plane and you look around, you can see when people are tense taking off or when you hit turbulence, and the people that react with the most fear, I think, are the people that probably have the most issues with control in their life.
Yeah.
Because we all know you can't do anything. Grasping that arm or shaking or whatever is not going to change any of it.
No, you can't be in control all the time. You have to sometimes, like you said, be the passenger, relax, breathe, and just
look out the window.
Yep.
I mean, even at 30,000 feet, there's something to look at and to focus on and take your mind off of whatever it is. And that's where it all begins. Mm-hmm. It's being able to self-soothe in times of trouble. It's able to stay and fight another day instead of fly away. It's all those things. But it all starts with being able to calm yourself down and not just freak the fuck out and react.
Yeah.
You know, and you see, you know, grown ass adults, young and old, you know, that are acting more out of sorts than kids are. And you have to think, yeah, you've been making yourself crazy a lot longer than that kid has.
Yeah.
That kid's like, oh, shit, I've been through this before. Well, you know what? You've been through it before too. You just never...
Just don't recall it.
Don't recall it, or you just never got over it. You never dealt with it. You know, you never said getting on the plane, okay, I'm getting ready to take off on a plane. I know it could cause me some anxiety, but there's nothing to worry about. I've done this hundreds of times, and I'm going to be just as safe tomorrow as I am today.
Yeah.
And that's where you start. And it's just in your head. You don't have to say it out loud. Nobody's got to know you're saying it. But if you could just say that instead of fucking gossiping. Oh, holy shit, the sky is falling, and I'm freaking out. And then all of a sudden, now, you know, the fear turns to anger, and now you're mad because the pilot, or, you know, whatever it is, it gets out of hand. But it does so quickly. And
yeah,
when
it's
you...
a downward spiral, like,
yeah.
you open that floodgate, it's like water pours in, and you're like, oh.
And like we said, when you're the passenger and you're watching it happen, you're like, oh my God, this poor thing. Like, I can just see what's happening right now. I can understand both sides of this completely. I have sympathy, compassion, empathy, whatever you want to call it, for these people that are involved in this. But boy, if I could just record this right now and play it back for them in 24 hours.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
Those moments where we've panicked for things, I've been guilty of this, and then it's like when it's all said and done, it passes. It's like, oh, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
You know, but it's so hard in the moment not to just get worked up and let that adrenaline pump, the thoughts roll, anxiety hit, start fumbling around. It just happens.
Yeah, man. Get nervous, get sweaty, whatever it is. You know, it's all those things that I know that you've had to deal with. Your amateur and professional career, or whatever, fighting or martial arts, or whichever side of the house it would have been. You have to overcome the same feeling that everybody has. Mm-hmm. You all have the nerves. You all have the butterflies. You all have the preparation sweats, right? You're like, okay, I'm here. Like, I've trained, I've done this, but you still get the difference is when one person can take those and go, okay, I'm going to put you over here now.
Yeah.
We have work to do. And the other person's just like, you know, and you can't operate effectively like that. You know, you could go into the whole like warfighter scenario where, you know, back even with World War II, with people being amped up on amphetamines. Yeah, it does one thing. It keeps them in the fight longer, but, you know, it makes them more angry.
Your fight or flight is
volatile.
Just through the roof.
Right, but you lose the focus. You lose the real granularity.
You can't have that cognitive thinking of we need to make a decision versus just react.
Yeah, react out of like blood pressure and rage.
Couldn't imagine, you know, being hopped up on something in a survival situation and trying to make rational decisions.
Yeah.
No, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah, I really think that our men and women in uniform and first responders, Ellie, I think that, man, if you've never done yoga or meditation or anything, or maybe long walks by yourself, geez, man, it does so much for you. And, you know, you might be a month into it and you're like, man, I don't know what this is doing. Now, wait a few months in, you look back and you're like, oh, shit. I haven't been in an argument with anybody in a month.
Yeah.
Like, you may not see it yourself, but I fucking guarantee other people will. You know, and then a year out, like a year and a half, 2 years out, you're going to look back and go, all right, this is what they meant by if you want to lose weight, you just got to walk every day.
Yeah.
Or you take one less bite. Or you want to get strong, you do one more pull-up or push-up, you know. You don't see it tomorrow, and you don't expect to see it in a week, but when you look back and you see it, you see that hard work paying off.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's wonderful, man.
Absolutely.
It's so wonderful, and like it's proof in the pudding. Like, you just have to forget about the goal and just fall in love with the journey, man. Fall in love with the fucking ride. Like,
you have to love the process. And
yeah,
it's truthfully it's not going to be this glorious journey. It's going to be rough, up, down, whatever. Kind of a grit your teeth, dig through the dirt. But that is part of the process of trusting the process, enjoying the journey from that end result to see where you started or where you came. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
Man, you look at some of these young skateboarders like Nigel Houston or Sky Brown or I mean, any of them, even some of the next generation, like the Shawn Maltos or these other guys that I know you may not know, but those that know do know. And you see these kids and you just know, you're like, I know why they're there. They're in that position because they fucking loved what they were doing. Mm-hmm. They never set out and said, you know what? I'm going to go get good at this so I can get a shoe made with my name on it. No. No way. Nope. They went to the park. They went to that curb. They went to that hill. They whatever, or snowboarded or went to gymnastics. They put in the fucking work and they loved and they laughed and they high-fived their friends when they did it.
They did that trick over and over and over, no matter how many times it bled.
Yes.
Like watching those guys when you see the final video, but then you're like, here's 50 attempts of failure. Here's
Slams.
multiple days of this. You know, that's with anything.
Yeah.
You know, you love it for that. That's just like fitness. You're not going to get, snap your fingers and, ooh, I lost my weight or I hit this number. It's a lifetime of constant pursuit of being knocked down, getting back up. And most of those guys and gals in any sport have been knocked down more than they have on top with that stuff. But it's those times that they've been knocked down that leads to that success of that trick, that move, or, the championship. It leads to those peak moments. Right.
So, let's say you got some problems at home. Let's say you've been doing some work. I'll use myself for example, and there's days where it's easy. Everybody's smiling. There's days where one person really seems like they're out to fuck everybody else's day up. It's just how a family goes. But if you constantly say, well, we're not getting to where we need to go, we're not the family I want us to be, which is where I said I've been there, right? And I think a lot of us do. It's like, we're not meeting my expectations. It's not the fucking, it's not the life that we thought it was going to be, or just today is different, whatever it may be. If you can stop that and just say, whatever's going on right now, I find something about it that I really like. No matter what it is, you're standing in line. Well, there's a really cool person next to me. I'm going to talk to him for a little bit, whatever it might be. And next thing you know, you guys are buddies on fucking Facebook. And then next time you're in town, you fucking look him up and you have a drink together. Yeah. Whatever it might be. If you just enjoy that experience of the doing and not the place you're going to or the thing you're getting, right? Like if you're building a motorcycle. Well, how many people out there, you build a motorcycle or a BMX bike or a car, and at the end of it you go, now what? I want to do it again. Yeah. So you get rid of it, you do it again. So these people are living the journey. They're really enjoying the journey, even when they really probably think at the beginning, well, I'm doing this because I want this.
I would say it's Josh. It's repetitive nature of building things in the shop.
At CFT?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
In that type of industry, you're building the same thing over and over, perfection, and it's like it's out the door. It's
gone. There's not a month that goes by that guy doesn't have a new piece of equipment just to keep himself.
I was there Friday and got to see a lot of it.
Right. There you go, man. So, but I mean, would you agree though that if you're not aware that you're in a situation where there could be joy, that you're just going to be that human character, you're just going to fly right through it?
Sometimes you got to seek it out a bit.
Yeah, you have to have intent, right? It's like when you go to walk across the threshold in your house. Well, you've done it a million times so you don't look down. But what about the one time when you don't look down and you fucking trip? Well, you didn't look down. You didn't pay attention.
You're just going through the motions at that point.
Right. Which, we go through so many emotions every day.
Oh, yeah.
Without ever even imagining that we could pause and maybe it goes a lot smoother. Or maybe we see something new or whatever it may be. I don't know, man. We're such creatures of habit. And this trip just let me see a lot of people doing really habitual things. And I'm not judging. I've been there. And I still continue to do the things. But as somebody that's practicing something, when you get to watch other people that aren't really practicing, maybe, it's sort of like when a master of jiu-jitsu is watching a novice. They're like, this is so easily correctable.
Yeah, when you're like, I can speak for them. I'm not a master of jiu-jitsu, but...
No, of course. And I'm not a master of being a human.
When they roll and stuff and they're rolling with a new person, they'll like put them in a position and go, oh, you left this here, so that leads to this. Don't put your arm there. Don't do this. They can play the chess game of telling them what they should do to set up something because they're already seeing 15 moves ahead.
Totally. So when you see somebody and you go, wow, that's such an easily correctable thought pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Not my place. Not on me. Who am I? I just notice it. But that noticing strengthens my resolve. It makes me see that the work is paying off.
Mm-hmm.
I may be no better, but I'm noticing things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's a fucking improvement, man. How long do we go just not noticing shit?
Oh, it's a good chunk of our lives. There's so many things that go on by. Let alone like the human eyes and our ears can't even see a fraction of the lights and the sounds that go on. Right. I forgot all the hertz and the different, but how much goes on around us constantly that we can't even see and hear, but it's there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So then you start to, that human conditioning is, well, if I can't see it and hear it, it's not there.
Yeah. Well, that's not true.
So
absolutely, we know that.
We know that there is a measurable amount of energy that radiates off of us. All of us.
Yeah.
At any given time.
They even say that we glow with, if you get, I can't remember again the numbers, but yeah, our eyes can't see it, but humans put off enough light naturally that we would glow to certain animals. I don't know if the dogs can see it, but certain things, but cameras, yes, the human body does put off an energy light.
Yeah, I don't doubt it at all. I know nothing about it, but I've felt energy coming off of my body.
It's fascinating. There's a bunch of things online. There's a couple Instagram pages that always post about that stuff of what the human can do and what animals can, and certain animals have better, obviously, dogs, their smell, their hearing is impeccable compared to ours. Other animals, same thing.
I was at my buddy's house staying, and his mom has recently passed away in the last couple of years, and she was a dear friend of mine too. And I was staying at his house, and I stayed where she used to stay, and whenever she lived with him, and I was meditating in that room, a couple times a day for my stay, and it was magical. So the reason I say this is because the feeling of energy, that feeling of electricity, sort of, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this meditation, I've talked about some crazy shit, talking to my dragons, having a conversation with myself in meditation. I had a full-blown conversation with my buddy's mom in my meditation. I don't know how long it was. It seemed like forever. But, in my head, in this image that's playing in my head without provocation or without, I'm just receiving this. I'm not forcing anything. I'm just receiving this feeling, and these thoughts are just coming to me, and I feel like this vibration that feels like this like thin layer around me,
mm-hmm.
almost like I'm not even sitting on something, like I've got energy between me and the floor, which I know that's not how it works, but I don't know how it works because I felt it. And this is not the first time.
Like energy's
in my other meditations, when I had these types of visions, it was the same kind of feeling. Hair stood on end. It felt like the universe heard me. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was being heard, and that was its way of saying, "We hear you."
I think when you need it, it will appear to itself, kind of as many people who believe in God, God will present himself when you need it most. I think that's the energy from the spiritual side, the energy, the world, the universe will present itself at those times when it's needed most, when you are ready to, quote unquote, receive it.
And it's always absolutely perfectly timed.
Because if you're not ready, you're not fully going to take it for what it needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I came to, and I was like, I had tears falling down my face, like pouring, because the conversation was so beautiful. It was a lot of, I'm proud of you, and it was a lot of hugging, and it was a lot of, thank you for what you provided to me and my family too, which is something that I never thought about. I never thought I provided joy to these people. They just took me in.
Mm-hmm.
A whole new way of thinking about it. But when I came to for my meditation and everything was said and done, and I'm wiping the tears off my face, I was smiling. It wasn't sad. It was so fucking peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you just got done running a marathon. Like you just got done fighting a fight. Like it was exhausting. It was such an event that I was exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it for a good 24 hours before I ever even really admitted to myself of what, like, okay, that really did just happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not making shit up here, man. You're not crazy. You're not, you just had some crazy shit. But again, it's at a moment where I am completely open to the world. You show me what you got to show me, and I'm here to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
But without even really saying those words, just being so open-minded. And
well, it's the senses in the body being open and the good timing of energy to receive it.
yeah,
I think you got to be on all those levels and fronts, open and ready to bring in that kind of energy, because there's energy all around us, things we talked about and learned in martial arts. Like, there are those that can take energy, those that can absorb it so easily. Others that are like shields. They can't put it off. They can't take it in. Others, many different ways. But when you're open and adaptive and ready for it, and either relaxed or focused, trying to do state, it will happen. You'll be able to receive it because you're willing. The receptors, your body, everything is connected to take it in. As many meditations talk about, like, as you breathe in, like a flush of water, then as you breathe out, you're pushing all that water, and anything that you need to get rid of is just flowing out. So each time cleansing water in, that water flushes anything bad out. It's doing those things, and it's like eventually you're like, whoa, everything just comes in naturally on that light from the universe, wherever you want to say it comes from, that you feel that energy just take over you because you were receptive and in that right framework to take it. You can't do it all the time.
No. And you'll know when you get there too, because there's a moment in your meditation or your moment of relaxation or peace or whatever you want to call it, your Zen, where there are a couple things that are happening and not happening. You are devoid of any thought. It's a blank, black slate. And you're completely calm. You're not scared about it. You're not nervous. But there is no thought. Secondly, you hear a lot of people, focus on your breathing. Focus on your breathing. Well, as you start to be able to receive things in meditation, as you start to be able to really open your mind and gain that blank chalkboard of a mind, if you will, even for moments, because they are brief and they are hard to come by, you'll forget that you're breathing. You don't hear your breathing anymore. Yeah, you don't feel your chest moving anymore. You're obviously breathing. You're alive. But there is no forcing of anything. You are simply a receiver. You are not emitting. You are receiving. Mm-hmm. It is like when you turn on an antenna, a powered antenna. It's either on or it's off. And if you can get yourself to be turned on as an antenna and turned off as a sending unit, I'm like thoughts and thoughts and thoughts and thoughts and thoughts going out there. If you can just go from this to this, just for a few moments, it is life-changing.
Yeah, and that's things that we would do is like, you're taking of the hands and pretend you got a small ball and you're taking your energy and it's getting bigger and bigger. Now, I wouldn't recommend anybody start doing this stuff because it can drain the hell out of you, and sometimes you can't turn it off. If you would by chance do this, you'd look down and your palms look like you've been smacking the hell out of something. Right. Run them out under cold water for an extended period of time. Water is positive energy, but the cold water will start to close off those energy lines. But that's things what we do is, you're sitting here and you're like, okay, sitting, relaxing, or if we stand either way and you're relaxing, you're building it, feeling this ball of energy. And then it would be like, okay, get relaxed. Okay. Now you're going to give this ball to the person next to you. Pass it, it'd be like, one person's hands and taking it to feel that like heat between the hands and that energy, but being in that conscious state of mind that we're going to give and receive back and forth, which is a ball of energy. As crazy as it sounds, but it's like,
but it's
it works.
It works, and it's no different if you're laying face to face next to your sweetheart on your bed. Or you're out in a park in a picnic on a blanket. Just imagine it. Just looking at each other. There is an exchange of things just via our eyes. There's an exchange of energy. It is possible to, I believe it's possible to transmit energy from person to person, to send somebody goodwill, to wish somebody good health. I think that it matters. I think for you to be receiving something from me that was unprovocated, unsolicited, you don't even know what's coming to you, but there's somebody somewhere on the other side of the universe in another dimension, whatever it is, that's going, really, really hope that Jeff's having a great fucking day today. I hope he lives without drama today. I hope that he makes sharp decisions. I hope that when he gets home, he goes to his wife's loving arms and his kids, and I can do all those things, and I think they fucking matter.
Oh, yeah. They say that, like that positive things, like if someone's going through something, just like even in the meditations, Sam talked about, think of a person today.
Yeah.
Take your energy as you're meditating and focus and just think about this individual who might need a little something extra.
Yeah.
Friend, family, someone you haven't seen. Like he does that how often in those meditations to do this projection out into the world. And that's no different than you've seen other people do. Like, hey, if we all thought, and this would be an almost seemingly impossible feat, but if you got I think there's almost 8 billion of us or 8 billion of us to focus our energy for a moment and think positive, like what that would just do around the globe. Now, obviously, it's a very,
I know,
very science fiction talk right here, but they collectively say the same thing. If you put enough people in a room and do that, even science says, if I can't remember the number, you put I think it's 1 million people in a room for so long will produce enough radiation between all of ourselves that we could kill ourselves. You'd have to be tightly type of energy, but to think that the human body, you packed it enough of them, we have enough radiation within us that we could put it out to destroy us, or we could take energy in a not so confined manner to put it out, and it can be this positive thing to push out into others and hopefully radiate. But again, we all have those moments where it's up, down, someone cuts you off, someone says something, and it's gone in that quick instance, and it's trying to recenter to then, okay, I got to get back to this. Ooh, get my mind right. Okay, be at peace.
Man. Yeah. Yeah.
Not so easy all the time.
It's not, especially when you're not, sitting on top of a mountain by yourself.
Yep.
Right? We've talked
and
about
most
that
of
before.
us are not in isolation or by ourselves day in and day out.
You have to learn how to integrate this work, right? It's like my buddy Choing says at his meditation studio, if you're not integrating the work that you do there, then why are you there? It's very self-serving and very selfish, and that's not going to, it's not going to get you out of that snake eating your own tail situation. You're doing the same shit. You're still being selfish. You're still being a son of a bitch. Now you're doing it in a way that you think is woo-woo and is going to, put you in a different place. Well, I'm telling you before, if you were broken before, you're going to be broken during and after. You got to fix your shit. That's what it's about, is fixing yourself. It's about getting back to level ground or getting back to calm water so you can reevaluate and reassess and say, okay, well, maybe the next fucking 40 years, I don't want to be as difficult as the last 40. So what do I have to do?
Yeah.
Well, you got to be really honest.
Absolutely. You gotta face the hard truths that come knocking at the door that you've kind of buried behind you in that closet, as the world has said. Got to open the door and let all that shit fall out, and one by one, kind of like in the 4 agreements, you're gone. The small things you attack first, and then it's like you've cleared your way into that mess, and you're like, okay, this one's going to take some time. This is going to be a long one. This is going to be some days, some weeks, some months, maybe even some years. But now we are going to attack this type of agreement, and we're going to go for it.
Yes. And that's how I'm going to live.
Yeah.
And nobody can stop you.
No.
Nobody can get in your way. Nobody can stop you from changing the way that you view the world. Nobody can stop you from... That's why they say, like, the prisoners of war or, people that are being tortured, the people that survive are the people that just...
take their mind out of their current position.
They just persevere through anything. They don't... What's happening to them is not... go ahead, do it. And, unless you kill me, which even if you're going to kill me, what am I going to do?
And that's like
I can't stop you.
Who said that's not even the worst that you could do to me.
No.
So you take my life, my soul will continue on.
Right.
As many say, as our bodies are just a temporary serving device for the soul to its next destination.
And given the opportunity, I will come back and fuck with you.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah,
for a long fucking time until you realize,
there's nothing more frustrating you know, as you've seen in movies, and I'm sure people have got stories, those who got a solid mindset when you just don't break them.
Yeah.
When there's never a reaction, there's just this, that frustrates people.
Yeah.
And that makes them get unnerved, like, oh my God, this person can't be done this, and this. And
Yeah.
that's a person who is pretty sound body and mind.
Yeah.
And knows when to put the wall up to deflect and then when to put the wall down to absorb and take and so forth.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you've got to have the boundaries. You can't
Yeah.
just sit there and be a pin cushion.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to be a porcupine either.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. Yeah. So much to unpack from one trip.
Yeah.
You know,
Sounds like it.
It really was. It was amazing. There's something that I want to, we'll go and start wrapping this up, but something I want to leave people with. And Jeff, if you got anything to add to it, please feel free. When you mess up, when you leave the house and you're not in the best state with maybe one of your kids or your significant other or your dog, your cat, whatever it is, and you're bummed out about it, and it eats at you, and then a week later you think about it, God, it's still eating at you. If you can stop for a minute and realize that all you are doing is experiencing one of many emotions, and the fact that you can experience that emotion makes you perfect. You're fucking perfect. You got angry. That's good. It's good to get angry.
Yeah.
You giggle all the time because you're sort of nervous. Awesome. That's probably adorable. You're perfect. If you don't think you're perfect, you're fucking wrong. If you think you got flaws, you're wrong. You're perfect. You look perfect. You're the perfect weight right now, and you're the perfect height right now because that's who you are. And it's a blessing that you're who you are. And I could start naming names for all the people who've blessed my lives because they are exactly who they are. And if they were 20 pounds lighter or had less acne or better hair or nicer shoes, I would give 0 fucks anymore.
Yeah.
It would still be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gives a shit about us more than we give a shit about ourselves.
It's true.
Nobody. And when you start thinking that everybody's thinking about you and you have to make corrections based on what other people are not really thinking about you, but you are, that is where you start dealing with what they call mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't think that you can easily slip into that on any given day as a perfectly, well, as what you would call a healthy, normal human, then you're wrong.
Yeah. You're living for others and not yourself if you're doing all that.
Well, yeah, and you don't even know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I'm saying is you are perfect. You may not be some weird expectation that you had of yourself, but if you stop and think about it, that expectation was probably built off of some weird shit, some TV shows you watched as a kid, somebody's house you hung out at once. Like, these weird things stick with us. It was probably all perceptual. It probably wasn't a whole lot of fact baked into it because as kids and young adults, we take liberties and artistic justices with everything that we take in.
Yeah.
We really do. And then we shape it. And when we spit it back out, it's fact. Well, hold on, son. Hold on, little young lady. That was your version. And I'm not going to tell you my version's right either.
Yeah.
But when you're married
thing.
to that version and, you're not willing to say, okay, well, I obviously don't fucking know everything. There's other things going on in this world that I'm not privy to. Well, then, again, that's when shit starts getting easier, is when you do that. And I could go on all day about it just because I believe in it so firmly and so wholeheartedly. When you, like we said at the beginning of this conversation, when you stop forcing things and you just start receiving, you're going to be amazed at how much shit you receive.
Yeah.
You're going to be amazed. I remember the moment that I told myself I'm just going to start opening myself up to whatever comes my way and I'm going to be happy for what I get. Life improved drastically.
Yeah.
Whether it was financially or whether it was with my family or whether it was just in my own foggy mind. Everything got infinitely easier. So, I don't know, guys. Pick up a book, take a walk.
Podcast, get outside.
Do something.
There's plenty of ways to start this journey.
There are. And I know that we talk about it a lot. I hope we're not beating a dead horse here. Because being out in the wild, being out in the public for a few days, in a different environment, not my own echo chamber, it really did shed a lot of light on what's going on out in regular America. It's, people have lost their fucking minds.
Yeah.
People have lost their mind. People are sick and they don't even know they're sick, you know? Not trying to be self-righteous. Just, we're all caught up in this fucking rat race and everybody's trying to get to the highest pile of shit. And, you know, everybody wants to be told their shit's better than everybody else. And it's pretty wild out there, people. I wish you the best of luck. And I hope that in your journey, you pick up some tools like Jeff and I are talking about, because it's fucking dog eat dog out there right now. It's the Wild West. And if you're not prepared with a good set of tools, then you're going to be standing there with your dick in your hand and you ain't going to know what to do.
Yeah.
And your family is going to be looking at you like, what are we going to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's about that.
That's a good place to leave it, I think.
I think so, man. I think so. Thank y'all for letting me vent today and letting Jeff and I sit here and bend your ear. I'm glad to be back.
Always.
And yep. So that's that. Until next time, we'll have some more shit to talk about.
Yeah.
And you know, again, thank you guys for lending us your ears and your eyes, and take some time for yourself, and you'll make the world a better place.
Absolutely.
That's it. Peace.
Have a good one.
Bye.